Hi guys, it's Lava here with a guide which I was requested by a few people as I mentioned that I'll be nexting for the next few weeks, days, months, years, I don't know, we'll see. This guide is more geared to higher levels. So if you're a lower level guide, or if you're a lower level, that is, it probably won't affect you or really apply to you, that is. Here are the basic items which you will need for the sake of this guide. Obviously you can mix around some things, but this is generally what you will be using, and I'll explain what everything is for, what's used, etc. The only thing I'm missing right now is you would generally want to use an imbued ring. Uh, your best ring for next would probably be an onyx ring, imbued, and that's basically the only other thing you. Oh, and also ranger boots are a much better upgrade to infinity, but I can't really afford that right now, so I'm sticking with infinity. All right. I'm assuming that if you're watching this, or if you've gotten this far, that you know all of these items, what they are, what they do. The chaotic crossbow, required by most next teams, especially the pro ones. I'm assuming you know what the deflector is, how you get it, etc. Um, Also, what you'll need is that's also in my inventory. This is full ancient ceremonial right here, and it basically just gives you quick access into the lair, into the boss lair, where you can the little banking area. You don't have to get a kill count if you wear this while you walk through the door. So that's that. Another item that you will need is the frozen key, which is obtained by killing. You get a piece of a frozen key by killing uh, Armadillo minions or and Bando minions and Sarah minions and Zami minions, and you'll have to kill. I don't know. I had to kill probably like 20 each to obtain each of the key parts. Then once you have all four parts, you can just put them together and you'll have the key. Alright, so this is just the basic gear setup. I'll be back in a second to talk about the inventory setup. Okay, here is your general setup for your inventory when you're going to Nex. Obviously, this is not the ideal, and it's basically going to be mostly about preference. You'll have people that won't like to take spec recovers, although I think they are very useful and most teams do require them. Some people prefer to have more brews than restores in their inventory, but the reason I like to have this many restores and this little brews is because I usually put a lot more brews than restores in my yak, so I can generally just uh, take from the yak, and it'll just keep filling up these three spots with brews, and then I'll keep a few restores down in the bottom of the yak. Alright, the claws. These are required on most every team. You will be hard pressed to find a team that does not require claws, whether it's pro or not. And the claws are mainly used for the first phase of Next when she first spawns. The Void Top. The Void Top you will need, even though you have the deflector, because when you are wearing the claws, I gotta drop these for a second. When you're wearing the claws, you'll obviously not be wearing the deflector, so you'll need the top to have the full effect of the void set. Alright. I generally bring 3 overloads, as the teams that I join are usually pretty good and will be in the room anywhere from maybe 40 minutes to 60 minutes, and as you probably know, each dose of overload lasts for about 5 minutes, making one potion about 20 minutes. So if you're in for an hour, you'll need 3 overloads. The anti-poison plus plus is not required, but I don't like being poisoned while I'm at Next because I feel like if I'm poisoned, I'll just get hit for like a 700, and then the poison will just hit me and I'll die. So, I don't know, maybe I'm just paranoid, but it is a nuisance when you get poisoned, because you will get poisoned occasionally on the shadow phase. Not always, but sometimes. The unicorn scrolls, the healing aura scrolls, I use those after my yak dies and I summon my unicorn. And obviously, teleport tabs to get out. Alright, next I'll be talking about the familiar setup, what you're going to be using in your yak or tortoise. I'll show a setup for both of them. And yeah, so I'll talk to you guys in a second. Okay, I'm back with my new fuzzy best friend, and this is the basic setup for a yak, which I personally like to use. As I mentioned before, it is all mostly about preference. Once you get the basic number of potions you like, it's very hard. Nex is unique in the fact that there is no one perfect way to set up for it. There is many different ways depending on your gear, your team, the duration of the trips you're looking for. If you just want 2 kills a trip and you're just going to leave and stuff like that. But I personally look to stay for at least anywhere from like 6 to 8 kills a trip, if not more. So this is what I like to take. I generally just use the first 10 spaces of the yak for brews, as, like I showed before, these probably 12 spaces in my inventory over here will be used for super restores, and just these 3 down here will be used for brews, so I can just take from the yak and it'll just keep filling up these 3 spots with brews as I use them. And then later on, as I use the restores, I'll hit these 2 right here. Then I'll probably need some more brews. And then later on, when I'm running low on restores, they'll be at the bottom of my yak. And eventually, after my yak runs out, or I mean, once my timer runs out, I'll have another scroll here, or another pouch rather. And then eventually, after my yak runs out, or all the supplies in it, I will take out the unicorn and summon that to heal myself. And at that point, I'll usually have around maybe a third of my supplies left. Now here is your basic War Tortoise setup. It's basically the same thing as the yak. You're going to want a few brews up at the top, because if you use the setup like I do, you'll run out of brews much more rapidly than you'll be running out of restores, as I only keep 3 in my inventory to start the trip. Then a few restores to refresh yourself if you start getting low, which you probably won't, as you'll have, if you use my method, probably around 8 or 9 still left in your inventory. A few more brews, because you'll probably be running out again. And then a few more restores to end your trip, as you'll have the unicorn to heal you towards the end. Same concept as the yak. You have, and this is representing a tortoise pouch right now, for the sake of this video, as I didn't have any more. If your first tortoise dies, just refresh it with another one, and then after all your supplies are out, you just summon your unicorn. And I didn't mention this, but most teams will require a unicorn, because it'll extend your trip very greatly. You'll probably get at least 2 kills just right off of the unicorn, because it is very useful. So if you don't have a unicorn, you should get a unicorn, because unicorns are awesome. Alright, so that is basically it as far as the gear, the yak, and all of that goes. I will be back with part 2 to basically show the actual nexing part of this guide, which I'm sure a lot of people are more interested in than just the setup part. Yeah, that's about it. Thank you for watching, and I'll be back with part 2 soon.